All right, perfect. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for ATG's Amplifying Voices, Latinx in the AEC industry. Let's go ahead and kick it off. We have a great group here to talk about how they made it in the way of the AEC industry, their current position, and what that means to their heritage and where they came from. So we're going to do a brief introduction. I am Emily Clark. I'm the VP of Technical Services here at ATG, and I will turn it over and have each person introduce themselves, and then we'll dive right into the questions. Before we do that, if you have any comments, questions as we go along, feel free to type those into the questions and answer panel. I'll put those in a queue and feed those into our wonderful guests as they come up. Tesla, do you want to start it off?
Sure. Thank you so much, Emily, and to ATG to invite us to this panel. First of all, I am Tesla Collier. I study in Honduras, Central America, and in 2000, I came to the United States. My career started from ground up and built up all the way to now I am a studio design technology manager at Gensler, Los Angeles, and have a passion for sustainability. So that's me.
All right, thank you, Tesla. Aylin?
Hi, my name is Ailen Calderon. I'm originally from Venezuela, from a city in the Andes called San Cristobal. I studied architecture, graduated from architecture back home, and my story is a little bit different. I didn't jump back to States right away. I live in Asia and Malaysia for 6 years before I moved here. I'm very passionate about visualization. That's probably one of my biggest passion. And then the sustainability Tesla, I was signing in there too. I love that. And I'm part of ATG team. I'm part of the production, the architecture team here for about 5 years already. So
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Aylin. All right, Rodolfo.
Hi, my name is Rodolfo, and thank you, Emily and Aileen, for inviting me and ATG for support this panel. I'm also from Venezuela, and I studied with Aileen in Táchira. I graduated in 2012, and I started working there, and then moved on to United States in 2016. After 2 years, I decided to re-enroll, restart my career. So I have been architectural business since 2018. I'm currently working as a architectural designer for BLBJR. We're a multifamily residential firm that we design and planning projects through the states like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and yeah, glad to be here.
Okay, thank you. All right, David, you want to do a brief introduction?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is David Lugo, originally from Colombia. I think I'm the only person actually from Autodesk joining the panel today. I currently work as a program manager for the sales execution and marketing teams in Autodesk. I'm an interior designer by trade. Worked in the industry for a few years before I actually went into an MBA at NYU, and then ended up working for Autodesk in the sales and corporate side of the house. Yeah, I grew up in Colombia until I was about 20, moved to the States to go to college, and decided just to stay here, make a life here.
Okay, excellent. Welcome. I appreciate you being on here with us today. So let's kick it off with talking a little bit about maybe a deeper dive into your background. And first off, thank you everyone for joining us. And, the panelists, we really appreciate you coming on here to share your stories, share your experiences, and hopefully, reach out to the people in the audience. And like we had mentioned before, this will be republicized and out there available for a further audience as well. So how did you ultimately decide on your career in the AEC industry? Maybe just a deeper dive on what made you decide this is what you wanted to do and the path that you wanted to go down. Who wants to start off? I picked on Tesla before for the introduction. So David, maybe let's start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I can share that.
Yep.
So how did I end up in the AEC industry? So
Yeah.
I have a very strong creative background. My family owned in Colombia clothing design and tailoring business. So I grew up around textiles and mannequins and just textures, colors. So I knew that it was interesting because growing up, I didn't really like that so much because I had to work with the family, and then I kind of had to be a part of that. It wasn't my choice. I always said, I'm gonna go be a businessman. I'm gonna go be an accountant. I'm gonna go work in that office. But it was later in life when I was in New York City where people appreciated things that I was wearing or like my creative background. And then I decided, I think I have a gift that I need to put into practice, and then didn't really want to do anything into fashion. And after research and kind of working with some mentors with my dad, we found out that there was a good design program that I could join in the interior design and architecture side of things. And then after I was in the program, just like it was the right fit for me.
It was perfect. Kind of a combination of both. And I feel like a lot of people in their past, if they're involved in something with their family business, I'm going to go with the complete opposite direction, right? Even though circling back, that's still was influencing you on your ultimate career. So that's a great story.
Thanks.
Yeah. What about you, Tesla? How did you pick this wonderful industry of architecture? Oh. Did we lose Tesla? I think we might have lost her. Until she joins back in. Aylin, you want to tell us your story?
Yeah, my story, I think it goes back when I was in high school. I was in my first year of high school, and we have this class for drafting. And I remember one teacher, he was the one that, hey, I think you will be good for this. And by that time, I wanted to be a marine biologist. Then in my second year of high school, I studied like chemistry, and I was really bad at it. So the curriculum for marine biology was like all chemistry and all the variations of it. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try. And I actually applied for both universities, and I got accepted in both. But I don't know, there was always, like it was natural in me. And I think that one of the biggest thing for me that make the decision was to, what do I see myself doing every day? And being in front of a computer, creating stuff, dealing with clients, that was something that it was natural, and I really like it, enjoy it. So that was probably the biggest push for me to go for architecture.
Okay, excellent. I similar. I feel like we all kind of I went through a path where I wanted to be an architect since I was a child. And then at one point in time, I'm like, nope, I want to be an accountant. And I don't know to be like, I don't know why it's complete opposite. I'm like, oh, but I love numbers, and I love things that are structured, and there is an answer. So for me, that was, a deciding factor, but that didn't last very long. I, chose the architecture path too, as well.
But we have numbers in architecture too,
exactly. So it still applies. We still have our spreadsheets for whatever it might be, but definitely more of a creative side, and to be able to express yourself was really important, and to be able to influence other people with the designs and buildings. And there's so many things that we get to create that affect others, and I think that's a really cool thing. All right, Tesla, welcome back. Do you want to jump in before we go to Rodolfo?
I'm assuming you're still in how do we got here, right?
Yeah. How did you get here?
Well, it's a long story, and it's hard to shrink it down into a few little words over there. But at the very, very beginning, I wanted to be a doctor, to be frank. And I got advice from my mom that, it may not be a suitable career for a woman just because of demanding hours. But little that she knew, right? She just didn't know that we do have demanding hours in architecture as well. And she suggested to become an architect at that time because of aptitudes that I was showing towards math and artistic abilities at that point. And at that point, I didn't really know what an architect did until I went to my first drafting class. It was just really cold turkey when I went there. And I want to advise everybody, be careful about imposter syndrome, because you doubt yourself. Just because you don't have the skills doesn't mean you're not good enough. Skills come in with time, and you just develop them. So that started my career, and many years after finalizing my studies in Honduras, University of Honduras, I came to the United States in 2000, and it was really hard to get a job. Really, really hard. It took me a year to get my first architectural job. I did get other jobs, more trade jobs, and to find out that, you go to a career, and a job that doesn't require training in the university gets paid more than early entry in architecture. So, but that was a long time ago, and teach me a big lesson of how to be humble and actually move on with things and learn and move towards your goals. And it's not always easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's a great story. All right, Rodolfo, your turn.
So yeah, I just started. I think I have to thank my mom because she put me in like art school when I was like 6 years old. So I started like to paint like oil paints, crayons, charcoal, all these techniques for like a painting back in the days, like when I was like 8, 9 years old. Then we moved from Caracas to Táchira, and there are like another art school closer to our home. So I was like a keep going during like 5 or 6 years. And then I got like a high school, and I just like I love like a drawing stuff, sketching, all these things. And I think I chose that career during my high school path. And then the only thing that I want is to like be an architect. So I just applied for architectural in a couple universities. But my mom was like, you can do like an engineer or like a chemical engineer or something like that because your knowledge and whatever. And I said like, yeah, I can apply for that too. So I applied like for chemical engineer and for architecture, and they just accepted me in both universities. But the one that I was close to my house was like architecture, so I just moved on with architecture, and then I just love it.
Does anyone ever think what it would be like to go back and choose feel like we had two different paths, right? It was a fork in the road. What it would be like if we would have chose the other path, and any regrets around the path that you chose?
It's funny that you say it, because my sister was asking me that last week, and I was like, well, if I would have picked that other career, I would probably not be here. I'll be probably living on a boat, and like far from family. So she's like, yeah, you probably would end up with hippie living in a boat or something like that. So I don't think I would be able to do that, just because like I feel like somehow you end up in a situation, and it grows you in a path that you didn't even know you wanted, but you love it. And I think that's one of the biggest thing that I won't regret. Plus I still hate chemistry, so
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, sometimes we can pivot, and even here at ATG, kind of, I think this is something Ayla and I have talked about in the past, is like leaving the practical, the traditional industry role to do what we do here is a little bit different, but it has opened so many other opportunities, and I never even knew it was something that was possible, in our world. So there's a lot out there, and many paths that everyone can take. All right, so let's jump into talk a little bit more about the Latinx Heritage Month. And this is a time to celebrate and acknowledge the contributions of, Latin individuals. How do you feel your heritage has influenced your professional journey and the way you approach the work that you do? You want to jump in on that one?
I can start with that one.
Okay.
So being like a Latin here in the States is like a very difficult. I think it's for everybody. I'm not saying like my path was like easier, but I think we are very passionate about our career, and I think, or whatever you want to do. So I think that is the most important thing, and maybe step up about like other people that we are, as a Latin, we are very passionate with everything. So I think that is a thing that we need to encourage for the next generation. Like I have a son, he's 9 years old, and I always say like you need to learn Spanish the same way that you learn English, because it will be, in the future, open like a lot of doors. Being like a passionate is, for me, was like get like the opportunities that I have. And I think that is the most important thing. I was in 2017 waiting for my papers, and I was delivering pizza when I started here. And when I get my social and everything, my uncle say, "Oh, I work like for DirecTV during all these years. It's a great industry. You can learn, you can get money, and blah blah blah." And I enrolled him as a cable technician during 5 months. And after 5 months, I say, "Oh, I'm an architect, like I'm a professional, so maybe I can find the path to get in the industry, because that is what I really want since the beginning. So I don't want to like stop doing this and just like put my career on the side, just like being something else. So I decided to quit. It was like during December. So I quit my job and I started to like send the emails, like I look for an Indeed and everything else. And I found this guy, it's a Cuban guy, has like design firm, and they give me the opportunity. And at that point, it was like a really good salary. But I think the most important thing that he saw me, like I was like a very passionate about my career. So he gave me the opportunity and I took it. And I learned from that firm uh, small thing like we are an metric system, and they have like a here the imperial system, and at that point was like a boom, this is the reality, you need to learn this if you want to stay here. But he was like a very like kind of tradition guy that tell me you need to do this, you need to do that. At that moment was like my English wasn't really good. I don't say like right now it's really good, but at that moment it was like a worse. And he was like a very kind in the way that if I don't understand something, he just like a repeat in Spanish. So I spent like 1 year there just learning. And I think that is the way that we need to do here. You need to learn, whatever you need to do, you want to do it, you need to learn first. And then there will be like a more opportunities for you if you keep like follow your passions.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I think your passion, really comes through with what you're doing. And I think it's important that you're setting that same standard for your son and the next generations to come. And I'm glad someone brought up the metric struggle, because that's something that I've talked to many people about in the past. So any other comments around, your culture, how it affects how you do your day-to-day work?
That with me?
Anyone? Tesla?
I actually think that Latin culture adds a flavor and brings spice to architecture and technology. Because really, when you're being bilingual, you have a huge asset to begin with. And when you know the metric and the imperial, you have a double asset, really. You can work globally. And not only within the same office, you're able to cross-collaborate across countries. And that has facilitated me in many, many ways. I work with Tokyo office and Dubai office and all the Latin countries. And I can switch from Spanish and English, and it's really, really brought in like that facility to me. it brings challenges, but I don't see challenges like an obstacle in my road. I actually see it as opportunities all the time. Everything that comes in challenging me, I see it like an opportunity. Once I overcome it, then it flourishes into something else. So I think that is something really important that we have in our culture. We are survivals. It is a part of our DNA to really survive. We come from a different culture, different language, and we adapt or die. That's what we do. And this is not just for the Latin cultures, it's for every single immigrant. We adapt or die. And because we're not scared of failing, we just try new things. And it's really, really impressive to see, not just in our culture, but it is very ingrained in our Latin culture.
Oh,
I
so many.
love,
Yeah, go ahead, David.
I love that you say that. Says like usually that hunger for success in a place where we're not, we haven't been a part of, or we don't often get recognized for the things that we do. It's just what gives us that opportunity to be creative, and then to create out of the things that we know that we're taught when we were little, from your mom, like you use every little resource, right? You don't waste. You just you take advantage of the resources that you have. You network with your people, your neighbors, with your family, and all those things just add so much. A different perspective from just the normal way of doing business and a corporate job, say here in the US. And then when people see that you have all the skill set that is different, that you bring that flavor, that problem solving that is different, is what kind of sets you apart from the rest, being Latino.
I will agree to that and all the things that you guys said, and I will add that. And this is a phrase, David, you probably know it. If I'll say it in Spanish first, and then I try to translate, even that's not gonna work exactly. But in Venezuela, and I'm sure in Colombia too, we have a saying that si no lo sabemos, no lo inventamos. If we don't know, we create it. So it doesn't matter the obstacles that we have in the way. It doesn't matter the situations. We will figure it out. We'll find out a solution. It doesn't matter in the area that you are. I'm not saying this is only for architects, because we like to create stuff. I think this applies for all the Latino culture. I'll say Colombia and Venezuela because that's the ones that I know they have this saying. So I think that, so Honduras too, great. So it is a Latino phrase, or I'll say way of living, because it's facing the challenges, is being resilient, and it's all this obstacle or the challenges, I like the way Tesla put it, that are there for us, and we don't have another option more than face it and find a better way to do it and work with that. So
there were so many nuggets, and everyone's comments on that. I think that really speaks volumes to who you are, and you just make it work, and the resilience, and challenges equals opportunities. I think those are things that great takeaways, for anyone for their day to day. So kind of pivoting from that as well, I've heard of people, a couple of you mentioned, my mom influenced me to do this, or, my family, this, who has inspired, and I probably know where this is going to go, but like, who has inspired you most throughout your lifetime so far?
I'll start with that one.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, David. Go ahead.
Start.
Okay. Well, I have three. Okay. I do have three. And it's, as we evolve as youngs and adults, then in career, there's different people. So first and foremost, my mom, she showed me the value of determination and pride at any task. So it doesn't matter what I'm doing, I would carry it on with pride and determination. So whether it's clean the toilet or doing a building, it will be exactly the same. I'll try to do it my best. Second, once I discover that I can just have a taste of going in technology, Nash Reyes, also known as Nancy Reyes, had a significant influence in my career, because he was the one who actually hired me here at Gensler. gave me the opportunity, but not only the opportunity. It's really important to see yourself represented. And I have never seen a woman in a design technology career before I interviewed that day. So that actually opened up the opportunity for me to, oh my God, I'm really good with all the technology, but I never thought I could build up a career there. And third, now it is inspirational wise, it's Barbara Bosa. I think she inspires me every single day because as a minority and a mother and a woman, she shows me that you can excel in any industry and you just need to defy the odds. So those are my three girls. They're all girls.
Okay.
So, well, Nash, he is now a boy, but they all inspire me and form me as who I am now.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you, Tesla. David, I think you're next.
Yeah, and like you said, pretty much the same answer. And for me, it's my parents, but not only because they taught me how to work with my hands, how to create, how to think outside the box, but they created their own design business and they had it, and they still up until this day they work on that with their hands. They create constantly, and now I can come in and with a second generation design family kind of add to what they started. But it's just like if you have seen the movie Encanto, just everybody in the Latino family and the Colombian family has certain skills and certain gifts that adds to a group of people, society, just a small society within the society that just becomes a strong foundation, strong core. And so for me, family, it's everything, and it's just like the same for everybody being Latino. So yeah, that's it. So my parents.
Excellent. Rodolfo, who influenced you the most?
So yeah, I think we are pretty much the same I think it's because our culture, like we always have that support from our families, and parents and friends that we are like closer to us, and I think that is came with our culture. So my parents pushed me to be better and so much harder with my education. And I think that is the most important thing for me. It's not just who is inspiring me, but also who's supporting me through all these years. As a parent, I also found some kind of inspiration on my son, to be better and to be in front of the issues or problems that you have, and just continue with your life, just to give him something for the future. And I think that's my inspiration, just people around me that support me. I don't have really somebody that I don't know. I feel like I'm more the people just closer to me. That for me, it's more important.
Aylin?
So if we keep it in three, first of all, definitely my parents. Like they all say, we have that support, and the family is very embedded in ourselves, in our culture. So definitely my parents, they are my biggest cheerleaders. And then the second was a professor in school and college. She was like history, or she is still a history teacher. And I always saw her she was so professional and very independent, and that just see her the way she is kind of inspired me to take that big jump of going to the other side of the world when I was 22. So that's my second, and this. The third one is you. It's Emily.
Oh.
Because this is a different industry. This is something that I didn't even know that I could do. And seeing you see how much you grow in the company, and the great example that you are for the rest of the team. I mean, for me, that's a great inspiration. And yeah.
Oh,
So
you're gonna. I said I wasn't gonna
I
get
know.
emotional, but no, that really means really means a lot to me, and it's been my pleasure to watch you grow through your career that we have spent together too. So what would you say is your most defining moment? What is it could be the highlight, it could be the changing point in your career. What was one defining moment that you'd like to share with everyone?
I got that one.
Okay.
So I think since college, I was like taking photos for people or buildings or whatever I have. Like I have Facebook, like I have plenty photos for everybody. Then here in the States, I get an injury playing soccer, and the director said if I was like supporting the team with my camera, a small camera, just like a regular camera, and he asked me to if I want to like took photos for a real soccer team. And I didn't ask that much. I said like I just yes. Oh yeah, so come to this address on Saturday. I will see you there. So it was like an MLS team, the Major League Soccer team for Philadelphia Union, and it was like in front of these professional players at biggest stadium. And I said like okay, I just want to start this. And back in 2018, when I was doing like architectural architectural business, I was also doing these photography things for the team. And since then, I have been found another passion, which is photography. And I just mixed it together. And I think that was the moment that defined my career because they opened like a lot more opportunities to myself and especially here in the States and to my family. But right now, with this new firm that I'm working on it, they know that I also a photographer, and I'm doing right now the photograph for the buildings that they already create, and it was like a drone shots and interior shots and exteriors, and they just love it. So I think that moment when you put it together to two passion just in one job, that is the top. And I just found it like after too many years, but again, following my passion, and they see me doing this. They're also really happy with me because I always ask for more, and I not if I complete my work in 6 hours per day, and I just like I look for something also like a maybe put some work in the work that I have to do the next day, and sometimes that's complete and just send that to them, and it's like okay, this is done. So that is one of the things that they really like about me, and I think it's in general, and the Latinos that we have like a different thing. Fun fact: I just enrolled this company for in April. 6 months ago. But they have a contract with the staffing service that has to stay with the staffing service company during 9 months. And I have another guy that it's a co-worker that started 2 months before me. And we always thought like, oh, what happened with us after 9 months? And I said like, just keep pushing yourself, to do whatever you do, like do better, do quicker, and just like show whatever, show your work, show who you are and keep like working hard and learning every day and everything. So after 4 months, this guy had 6 months already. After 4 months, they asked me if he want to enroll the team as a former employee. And I said like, yeah, but what happened with the other guy? Well, we'll see. But for now, we want you to join the team. And I say like, okay. So they pay my contract to the staffing service, and that is really weird that happened in the industry. So they pay my contract just like hire me like just directly with the company. So again, my advice is like work hard, show your work, and be confident in what you want, what you know. And I think people will see it. People will see your knowledge and your passion, and especially for us, we need to like push harder on this country. So I think we cannot never stop like doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Raise the standard. I mean, that speaks volumes on your work ethic. For them to buy out your contract, that's that, they obviously saw your value and how hard you work. Perfect. Any other defining moments that anyone wants to share?
I'll share one.
I'll go after David.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry, I always interrupt you.
You're a good team.
So we talk about how as Latinos, we're survivors and we work hard regardless. We just put a lot of heart into what we do. But there's another reality is that you can only go so far with that. You can only work so hard. You can only push yourself so much without having maybe a full skill set that will set you apart, that would put you into the next level. For me, I knew I was making my way into the design industry, but I wasn't making enough progress in my career as much as I wanted to. I mentioned earlier, I wanted to be in business. I wanted to be a businessman. And in order for me to do that, I needed to find something else. So I found a program. I wanted to go to grad school, and I was able to get accepted into grad school at NYU for an MBA program. And what I was looking for is, just an opportunity to learn more, a holistic view of how do you manage a company and how you execute from the management to the operational things at an organization. So that was a defining moment for me. There's a lot of stereotypes in these kind of programs because they're usually made out of investment bankers or finance managers or managing consultants. But in my experience, this was so much different. This program itself was probably like, this is the most diverse classroom I've ever been in my life. There were people from many different countries, different nationalities, different professional backgrounds, lawyers, doctors, designers, CEOs, CMOs, CFOs. And the classes, the content that we were being taught was just so amazing. It's so rich. But the most important part of my defining moment was not just getting a diploma from the program, but is the connections, the networking, and the friendships that I started there, because that just gave me an idea of how far I could go with my career. And so that was a defining moment for me, just the connections that I had from there, the friendships, and the opportunities that I know I can phone a friend if I need advice on interviewing for a job, or if anybody's looking for somebody else, I can recommend. And then it's just that connection that I got from that degree was just amazing for me.
Awesome. Thank you. Tesla?
Again, I think it's really hard to put defining moments because as we grow in our careers and we pivot, there's tipping points on each of those. But we have positive and negative all the time, right? So there's the good ones and the bad ones, and sometimes, and I like to pinpoint on the bad ones because the bad ones are the ones that bring me at least the biggest learning of those. And I remember one in particular in which at one point I was offered a leadership position, but I was not actually offered the compensation that goes with that position. And it was clearly stated, oh, we're giving you this, but there's no increase in pay. And I actually challenged it. And without realizing that the role I was getting into, it's more given it to boys more than girls. But it actually taught me the importance of knowing what you stand for, knowing your value, and stand for it, because it's really important, especially for women, because we sometimes just take opportunities because it's a nice title, but not really it's the best thing for us. We really need to have an equal space on the table, and it's good to know that we should stand for our own values.
Oh,
that one was a big one for me.
Yeah, that is really big. And I think there's a lot of depth to that piece of advice. And I think that could go a long way for a lot of people in our industry. So that's a great one. I think that leaves Aylin for defining moment.
I think I will agree with Tesla. My situation was quite similar. When I was working in Malaysia, I had the opportunity. I was hired as a designer, but then I don't know why my boss put me as a project architect for a really big project, and I wasn't ready for it. I was just literally 1 year, 2 years of experience. And it was like you say, Tesla was a position that it was more for men. So I have to deal with that. Plus the culture is, as a Muslim country, it's a little bit, there are other rules, unwritten rules there in that environment. Anyway, that lead me to a lot of stress, a lot of extra working hours, not really compensated for that, and almost make me hate architecture, to be honest. Like when I decided to leave the job and come here to States after I finished that contract, come here to the States, it gave me like, it took a time, a year or so to kind of really define what I wanted to do, because one thing I was sure is that I didn't want to have that level of stress again. So by chance, I don't know, however you want to call it, I end up here working in ATG, where I found that balance between what I do in the industry, what I do in architecture, helping people, it's a part that I love of our career, and found that balance. So it was a breaking point, maybe a negative, because it was long days, and yeah, it was very stressful. um and that sense of even like, maybe I'm not worth it, or those type of questions that make you realize, hey, did I really make the right decision when I picked this career and all this stuff. But there's always light at the end and there's always a lesson behind. And I think that path led me to this one that I'm now, and I'm much like really happy where I am. So that was my breaking point.
Okay, perfect. And sometimes that, you know, I always say this about life, it is a roller coaster and you can't have the downs without the ups. And so sometimes we have to have that point where we know what we don't want in order to excel and get on a path of something, that we do want. We just have to write it out knowing that there's going to be another up right around the corner. So that's fantastic to see, both shining and maybe, areas of where we wanted to move away from in our past as well. So in your community, because this is Latinx Heritage Month, in your community, how do you engage, with your local community, reach out, both, outside in the workplace? Is there anything out there that you would like to share? Just about the community.
I'll start first on that one.
Okay.
First, here at work, we have a group called RDI for Race, Diversity, and Inclusion, in which we just share experiences and learn from each other. Sometimes we are not aware of things that happen until we see that it's actually happening to others the same as you. You just think it was bad luck, right? But sometimes it's not. There are patterns, and it's really hard to know those patterns if you don't talk with others. So if you have in the community, a group like that is good to join just for awareness. I personally, in the community, volunteer, and I alternate between the ACE program and the Sparks program, because their statistics about like Latin Americans, they are very high, especially here in California, in that 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. And something happens in that middle school that it drops dramatically the number of Latins that go to the university and the ones that are in the workforce. And it has to do with many things. Sometimes they start to work early, sometimes the girls get pregnant early, and a lot of things that happens, right? But just being there at that 7th, 8th grade mark, it's really nice to be an inspiration for others, that they can actually pursue a career, because sometimes in our cultures is like we're just going to do trade jobs. And at work, I make myself available to elevate others, their knowledge. It's not about when I have time. I just make the time to be available for those people, especially the ones that are in minorities and they look like me. If they reach out, I want to be a resource for them and help them as much as I can.
Thank you. Anyone else involved in the community or outreach, or even, you know, just making connections out there?
Well, I'll go. A couple of years ago, one of my previous coworkers at a different organization started a consulting firm for diversity, equity, and inclusion programs within the city and county of Denver. He saw the need of get better program implementation for the Latino workforce and these different entities that are working for the government. And he created the programs, and he brought me in as a consultant to help integrate all these non-English speaking workers from the city to help them have a good experience at what it was like to work and just feel included in a benefit program, just like if they were English speakers. There was no translation of benefits provided to them. There was no translation of how to work different paperwork through other organizations. So we started implementing all those things and giving them that opportunity to feel included within this big government organization as they were working for the city. And then also a little bit kind of beyond community, with my kids and I, we started a little charity called Goles Son Amores. We collect gently used soccer shoes and soccer balls. We also collect funds, money to bring equipment to kids in South America. We go into inner cities down in Colombia, and we find small little soccer academies that operate within neighborhoods, and they don't have proper equipment to work with that. We saw the need because a lot of our friends, you know, they just throw away, they like hardly ever use soccer cleats or soccer shoes or soccer balls. They get left behind in the soccer fields all the time. And so my kids and I started collecting those. Every time there were some left behind, we started picking them up, and we all of a sudden had so many. And then we started making donations down there. We make a 1-year trip every December. And then we also gather funds to buy brand new equipment for them down in South America. It's been a fun project.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's exciting.
Thanks.
That's good to know. And I was just thinking as you were talking and Tesla about yours, maybe we can put together a list to share with the people who attended of the different groups that were involved with to help promote that. Absolutely want to get the word out. Any other, Carrie, I'll work with Carrie on getting that together, because I definitely would love to share that with our community as well.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else before we kind of, we're coming up on the hour. I just want to make sure there's time for questions and one final statement. But any other either community, and I think Tesla even touched a little bit on this. Are there any Latin stereotypes that you want to address that because she mentioned that I would just work in the trade industry. So any of those topics, let's jump into that. Anyone? David, do you want to?
I have some, but I don't want to be the only one speaking.
Okay. Rodolfo, we haven't heard from you in a while. And if you don't have one, it's okay too.
No, that's fine. I just want to say that I don't know if it's related with the question, but it's about supporting our community, or again, as a Latin, we are very passionate about what we are doing. So since 2018 that I shoot these games for the soccer games, I also support other local tournaments that they asked me to do it. It was, of course, it's not a professional teams, but still they need somebody to support what they're doing. And it was also a Latino. It was a big community from Latino, huge tournament that was a month ago. And because they know me from the stadium, they asked me if I can just support this a local tournament. And it was around 45 games during one weekend. It was just 2 days, 45 games. And I said that's too much just for me. So I just found another 2 guys, also Latinos, that they asked if they want to help with this soccer tournament. But again, it's about help other people no matter what, even if they're paying or not. And you will get more thankful and at the end. And these connections are really helpful for you and your future. Same with the MLS team. just supporting this like Spanish magazine. It's also a Spanish magazine that give me the credentials. So I just go there, shoot the games. They're like a pro bono. I don't know if you use the same word in English. It's like a pro bono is basically they're not. It's the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a pro bono. And I found like a more graceful and with people that just like owning restaurants, owning companies, like a chef. They invite me and my family or my friends, and always like that kind of thing that we can support each other. And I found more helpful at that point than just like getting something paid for every game. And again, there are a bunch of opportunities here in the state that I think if you follow your passion, they will find you.
Awesome. Aylin? Any follow up on, community events we do internally, stereotypes, or any just kind of final word of advice to anyone?
Let's see, just one quick stereotype.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, David.
I would just say that the one for me that kind of bothers me, it's the people think that Latinx professionals are only suited for manual labor, and of course, we have this first generation immigrants that maybe people that were immigrated here for a while, and they work in the fields, they work on the just labor kind of work oriented jobs, but then they have not only just learned the job and promoted and make a career for themselves, but their second generation, their kids are becoming professionals. They're engineers, they're architects, they're project management individuals that are also coming from Latino background that are now managing and leading projects. So not all Latino professionals are suited only for manual labor.
Fantastic. I think that's a great one, and you all are, shining examples of that as well.
And I would say one that I'm not sure if it's in this part of the country. I haven't been all over, so I don't know if it happened in California, or I don't know, David, where you are, but that because you are Latino, you automatically become Mexican. Like, people think that, oh, you're Latino, you're from Mexico. Which part of Mexico? It's like, well, there's a lot of countries down there, and I think that for me is one of the things that it's the stereotype that it's like, yeah, we're Latinos, we have a lot of things in common, but each country is different. It has their different stuff. So I think for me, that's a stereotype that at least I see here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were actually talking about that before we all jumped on, when we were just doing a little meet and greet and talking about some of the similarities in the countries, but there are also differences. Same foundation, but definitely have their own unique things to offer. All right, so let's.
I have, sorry, Emily, I have a fun fact about that.
Okay.
The alien said, my coworker was actually asking me if Mexico was part of the North America. And I said, yeah, I mean, Mexico and Canada, it's part of North America. And I'm from South America, which is also America. But he was are you sure Mexico is part? And we have a Mexican guy next to us because he's also a coworker. And it's oh my gosh, man, that's.
Did you do a geography? Did you break out the map and maybe,
out of
do a little...
the state, but that was crazy for me. It doesn't even just misinformation, just getting, okay, oh, you are from, you're Latino, you're from Mexico. No, just is Mexico part of the North America? And it's not US.
Yeah, I think this conversation and kind of is, making that awareness that there is more, and being aware, and sometimes trying to understand before we speak or ask the questions or just make assumptions. I think that's the biggest takeaway from that, for sure.
And I think one of the biggest thing and biggest especially for us being bilingual, and I think Tesla mentioned it before, is when you are a professional and you are a professional environment, they really like a thing, okay, you are bilingual, I just speak one language. So they really like support you in the way that you are getting here, learning another language, doing their job just with one language, and you are doing the second, your second language, learning different system, new system, and everything else. And I think that show us as a better approach to find that these jobs or whatever. And I think piggyback with that thing, the most important thing, and I mentioned at the beginning, it was being confident in your knowledge and just like a go for it. You know, if you are an architect and you really want to do it, because I'm not like, okay, if you are an architect but you don't really want to be an architect, that's fine. You can find another thing. But if you are an architect and you think that you cannot do it, and I think that is like a misinformation on these things, because you can do it. I mean, you have to wait you have to find the way or the path to do it, and it is possible. It happened to me. Somebody showed me the path that I have to follow. I just followed like a 1, 2, 3 steps, you know. And but again, also you have to put yourself in the situation that you have to look for this. If not, you will be like unhappy if you find another job that you don't want it, whatever job it is. Just like I found a way to do it, and that's it.
Yeah. Driven by passion. Awesome. So one final piece of advice everyone wants to, I mean, that was a great, kind of closing piece there, Rodolfo. Anyone else, one final advice for future generations, anyone out there that you want to reach? We'll start with Tesla.
Oh, thank you, Emily.
Yep.
My advice is going to be kind of short. It's look inside yourself and do what you love. And embrace your failures as learning experiences. Don't be afraid to try. And be authentic.
That's great. Oh, that's good. That's touching. Aylin?
I will add to what Tesla said. Like acknowledge your values, keep your values, and don't forget about your root, where you came from, and where your family came from. If this is the second generation, because there's a lot of value in that too.
All right, David.
I would say, and I already spoke about this, but it's build a strong network and stay curious. Always join events, join professional organizations, connect with experienced mentors. Just always stay curious and keep up with technology, because that's going to set you apart from everybody else.
Excellent. And Rodolfo? Anything in addition?
I would add just like, don't lose your Spanish. Spanish is the language of love, and I think as a Latin lovers that we are dedicate this since a lot of time ago. As a parent, it's important to me to keep Spanish for him, and being a trilingual of multiple language will be really helpful for our future generation, especially with all these a social media thing that we have these tools. Use the tools, learn another language, don't lose your Spanish or whatever heritage it is you have. And yeah, I mean, that is the most important thing for the future generation. Don't lose that.
Don't lose it. I love that. That is a great, very practical piece of advice that I think will go far for many. Don't lose your heritage. Don't lose where you came from and your ability to showcase that. So, all right. Well, thank you to everyone who joined us today. And big thanks to all the panelists. We could not have done this without you. Lots of great information, inspiration. And I definitely want to, get together some of the community outreach and share that with everyone. So stay tuned on that. There will be more. So everyone enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Gracias. Hasta luego.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of the other content on our channel.